Clemson is rolling into the NCAA tournament with momentum, experience, and a chip on their shoulder. They're built for a deep run, and I'll tell you why coming up right now on Locked On Clemson.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Tiger fans? Morgan Thomas here, Clemson fan, Clemson grad, host and producer of Locked On Clemson, part-time host and producer over at 105.5 and 97.5 FM, The Roar. Thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen every day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And if you're new to the show, make sure to hit that like and subscribe and notification bell so you never miss an episode. And don't forget to follow me over on X at The Morgan T Show in between shows so you can keep up with all things Clemson. You know how Locked On does it. That's the way we do it Monday through Friday. Exclusive Clemson content right here for you. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Brought to you, use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. All right, coming up on today's show, Clemson's tournament experience and talent is making them a very, very dangerous team. Shutting down McNeese star player, I'll tell you who it is and what's going to help them make a smooth first-round win. And then kind of jump a little bit forward. I know this might be a little bit early, might make you a little nervous, made me a little nervous too, but we're going to talk a little bit Purdue basketball and how they're not invincible. And Clemson just might have the tools to take them down as well. I'm kind of feeling a pretty good run here. I think Clemson is going to go deep into the NCAA tournament. I know the past couple of episodes, I've been kind of more of a warning to you fans, to myself as well, just to kind of say, hey, do not overlook the first round, the 5 versus 12. McNeese State has a lot to play for, and that is still very, very true. But I'll tell you right now, I think Clemson also has a lot to play for, and they have built a team. Brad Brownell has built a team to do it as well. Clemson isn't just going to win this game. I think that they're going to make a statement in the NCAA tournament. One, this team is a veteran team, and they know how to win, and they know how to win all season. They know how to win in March. And I'm telling you, we could go down this route of, oh, well, the ACC is down and they don't have as many good teams. And that's true. They don't have as many ranked teams out there. But I'm starting to be more and more skeptical about ranked teams as we continue to go on. Look at what just North Carolina did in their play-in game last night. Completely dominated that game. The ACC may not have a bunch of ranked teams, but I'm telling you right now, they're not easy outs for sure. And Clemson coming out ahead and being one of the best teams in the conference, tied with Louisville, behind Duke. I mean, you got to think about this. Who are the teams that really frustrated Clemson? If you look at it, mostly it was Louisville, those teams that kind of had a little bit more of an edge on the athletic side of things. But they were able to take down Kentucky. They were able to take down Duke. And so they should be afraid of no one. There's no fear here. Zero Medio here. Last year, they went to the Elite Eight. This year, I think they're going to go to the Elite Eight as well. I think they may even go further. I'm looking at my bracket over on a couple of the websites that I'm looking at, and I'm telling you, CBS, ESPN, I'm feeling, my dad always says, don't bet with your heart. I'm not really betting any money in these, but I'm telling you, I'm feeling Clemson right now. They have key pieces that have moved over from last season, and we know that they really have been clicking on all cylinders all year. They're leaders on the team. Chase Hunter, do you really doubt what he's going to be able to do tomorrow night? I don't have any doubts that he's going to be able to lead this team and control the game from a point guard standpoint. I don't have any doubt that Ian Shefflin is going to be able to battle on the boards and win the rebound battle for the entire team and really be a big problem for McNeese State and really for the entire NCAA tournament, just because of how scrappy he is. As long as Locken and Shefflin stay out of foul trouble, I think they would be a very difficult team to beat in any of these matchups coming up, whether you have McNeese State, possibly Purdue, possibly Houston, the number 1 on their side. I think they're very difficult to beat because of these two guys. They've been there before. They're extremely, extremely physical. And then you have Jaden Zachary, who is, as long as he can stay, I will say, as long as he can not get too tired. I felt like back-to-back games kind of weighed on him a little bit as I go back and look at that last game against Louisville. Jaden Zachary is an absolute animal when it comes to playing defense. He's exactly what you need to be able to go deep in these tournaments, to add into what Clemson already has. You have to be excited about the veteran presence that Clemson has. They weren't always on Clemson's team, but they have that fire locking in there as well. So when I tell you about these four guys, when I list out the four guys, are you thinking that you're more confident or less confident? I think when you think about who Clemson really has as their core four players, you have to be extremely confident about what they can do in the NCAA tournament. These guys know what it takes to win late in the season. They know what it takes to grind out an entire ACC season, as up or down as you may say the conference has been. To be able to go through what they went through this season is nothing short of amazing, and we cannot forget about that. They're going to be able to advance in this tournament. They're going to be able to do more than just survive, but thrive, in my opinion. I think the matchups on this side of the bracket really favor Clemson because of that. Well, I don't want to be a pun here, but because of that grit, the hashtag grit that Clemson talks about, this team actually really shows that physicality, and you can see the grit for sure. Now, they've been battle tested. They've had high pressure situations, and that kind of experience is really going to pay dividends as we continue to go in the postseason. Teams that go deep in March have this type of leadership. They have it, and they're confident with it, and Clemson has it. I mean, this is like the ace in the hole for them. This isn't a team relying on true freshmen, relying on pure athleticism to figure things out as they go. They have a bunch of guys who have experience, who can control the pace, who don't fall under pressure, and who can execute in crunch time. I mean, Clemson got down by a team that I think was actually matched up better than them in a Louisville team, and still clawed their way all the way back to the very end of the game. So that kind of grit and determination and leadership is going to help them win close games. It didn't help them in the ACC tournament, but I think as they get a little bit rested and they go into this NCAA tournament and it's not back-to-back games, I think that these are the ones that are going to separate the pretenders from the contenders, and I think Clemson is definitely a contender. Now, their record in the ACC, you already know this, has been really good. 27-7 overall, 18-2 in the ACC. That shows consistency. That shows dominance in their conference. They didn't just sneak into this tournament. They're a number 5 seed by being one of the best teams in the country. And honestly, I think they're a little bit underseeded as you look at the other teams around. When you look at the 4s, the 3s that are out there, Clemson can hang with a lot of those teams and probably even beat all of those teams. I think Clemson has the confidence and the ability and the talent around them to do so. Now, one thing that we can say is they do have a little bit of a flaw there in that 5th player. Now, who is going to be that 5th player? That's the biggest concern for me. Now, Ken Pom has Clemson as a top 25 team offensively and defensively, and those are the kind of things that I think are going to make them a well-rounded, shows that they are a well-rounded team, and balanced teams are harder to exploit in tournament situations. But the one thing that I think that they could be exploited by is that 5th player. Who is going to interject themselves in? Because when we think about who could it be, it has to be someone. We can't just say, well, this guy, I don't like this guy, or that guy, I don't like that guy. I'm telling you that, when it comes down to having a complete team and making this run go far into the Final Four, maybe even to the national championship game, I'm going to say it. I think that they got to find that one player who comes up and says, hey, you know what? It's going to be me. Is it Del Jones? Is Del Jones going to raise his hand and say, hey, you know what, Tiger Nation, it's going to be me? Is it going to be Chauncey Wiggins? Really, it can't just be one player. I think it has to be a rotation of those guys with Jake Heidebreeder. We've talked about it all week, that they've got to show us that they have the talent that we know that they have, and all they need to do is just really show it. They've got to have the confidence to show it out there, and I think that they will. And I'm hoping for that starting tomorrow night, McNeese State. I think Clemson is going to make a run and continue to go into the matchup with Purdue. We'll talk about at the end of this segment, or at the end of the show, and then the matchup against Houston we'll talk about probably next week as well. So Clemson, not a team to overlook. And if you think about it, they're not a ton of experts are picking Clemson, but there are a few here and there where you start to see on X, social media, on the big networks, you start to see them putting Clemson in a Final Four. Kind of perks my eyes up, perks my ears up, and I'm starting to feel like Clemson is getting noticed here. Clemson should be able to make it into the next round, the Sweet 16 even. I think they could be an Elite Eight contender and maybe even a Final Four team for sure. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk about how Clemson can shut down McNeese State and their biggest offensive threat. Scaling your business requires expertise at the right time with Upwork, and you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more, experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with freelance experts that know exactly what to do, and they deliver incredible results. Take it from me, I was one of those marketing talented guys that did marketing campaigns on Upwork and did logos and graphic design and all kinds of things. So if you like that kind of talent, if you like people that are reliable and dependable, and you get to choose who you want, you can look at their resumes and see what they bring to the table and pick exactly who you want as your expert. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today. This show is also brought to you by Fabric. Life moves fast, especially when you have a family. One day you're watching your kids take their first steps, and before you know it, they're off to college. And that's why securing their future is so important. Fabric by Gerber Life makes it simple to get term life insurance that fits your family's needs. With Fabric, you can apply for term life insurance online right from your couch, and you could be covered in under 10 minutes in many cases, with no health exam is required. As a parent, I myself want to make sure my family is financially protected no matter what happens, so Fabric gives me that peace of mind. Join thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their families. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. That's meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. Policies are issued by Western Southern Life Insurance Company. Not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions. All right, so Clemson must shut down Javohn Garcia if they're going to get to the next round. It's simple as that. McNeese State does not stand a chance if they lock them down. If they lock down their key player, I think that's a big deal for sure. And I'll give you a little bit of another hint of why I think Clemson will be able to shut down McNeese State. But Garcia is, to me, the engine of McNeese State's offense. He's a senior guard, 18, 19 points per game. Clear number one option. He's a great perimeter shooter, and he's one of their most dangerous scoring threats. If he is hot, then McNeese State can turn this into a shootout. And I've talked about this in the past couple of episodes, not to kind of be a alarmist or anything like that, but I want Clemson fans and I'm reminding myself too that you cannot overlook these teams that have some shooters out there. And if they get hot and untouchable, and just streaky like that, man, especially when they have two or three guys that can really shoot really well on this team, that's my biggest concern. Because when it comes to tournament ball, if you're out there grinding, going through your sets, and then all of a sudden this team is just shooting up and nailing threes from literally anywhere on the court, that's where you're going to start to struggle. That's where your morale goes down. That's where the momentum, it just goes away. The crowd gets behind it. And, when you get into these tournament type ball situations, it's not going to be all McNeese State. You got to think about that too. When it comes to the fan base that's there, you're going to have a lot of Clemson fans. You're going to have a lot of McNeese State fans there too. But you're going to have a lot of fringe fans or fans of other teams that are watching, waiting for the next game, or they're from the previous game. And they're not fans of either team, but they know exactly who they don't want to win. And I got to tell you, Purdue fans, they don't want Clemson to win. They would rather have McNeese State, because they don't want what Clemson's going to bring to the table and that grind that they're going to have to go through and that work they're going to have to do at the basket. They're not going to be able to beat Clemson when it comes to just outworking them. So I think that if I'm Purdue, I don't want Clemson in it. If I'm a Houston fan, I think Clemson is a tough out as well. I don't want Clemson in it either. So you're talking about a situation where there's a lot of fans out there that maybe even not in this immediate bracket that really don't want Clemson to win. And I'm sure there's plenty of them out there. So you could have a lean towards McNeese State. Not only that, think about it. They're a 12 seed. So you're going to have that underdog mentality. You know how fans are. They're going to want to see that underdog make an upset. They're going to want to see a Cinderella story. And none of that has anything to do with Clemson, at least in this matchup specifically. So I think that the fan base is going to be a little bit on edge about who they're going to pull for. It could be high Clemson as long as they keep in control of the game. And I think that they will. I think they'll manage the game pretty well. But if this team comes out and they start shooting the lights out with Garcia and Richards Jr. that I mentioned yesterday, this is going to be kind of one of those things where you got to worry about the fan base getting behind them, and not just their fan base. But to me, the guy that shuts this guy down, and I kind of hinted to it at the previous segment, is Jaden Zachary. He's built to take care of this game and to take out stars of games. He is a gritty defender. He gets a ton of steals. He locks down some of the best guards in the ACC this season consistently, night in, night out, week in, week out. I trust Jaden Zachary as long as he can not be winded and gassed. He got to get off the bench. I think that kind of hurt him a little bit in the ACC tournament, but Clemson can force Garcia into bad shots. Zachary can force Garcia into bad shots and take away his driving lanes and wear him down. I don't think that Garcia is going to be able to handle Jaden Zachary for 40 straight minutes. And even if they rotate in with Chauncey Wiggins, I think that they'll still be a good rotation of guys that can shut down their key player. So if McNeese State doesn't get their star player going, then simply they just don't have enough weapons. And it's not just specifically about weapons and executing on the defensive side of the ball. Clemson is much taller than this team. I mean, this team should be overpowered by Locken and Shefflin on the boards, and it should be, to me, kind of a no-brainer to pick Clemson. If you're on the bubble here, 5-12 in this matchup, I would say probably should pick 112. As we know, statistically, 112 can seem to squeak through every season, at least for the past 7 seasons. So got to pick a 12. I don't think you pick this 12, though. I think it's going to be a mistake if you pick this 12, because Clemson's going to be able to out-rebound them on the boards. They're going to be able to shut down their top defender. And as long as they don't just go through some sort of crazy transformation where they're just draining buckets from absolutely everywhere, I think that Clemson is going to be able to get a bunch of second chance opportunities. And to me, this is the game. Okay, I mentioned this two nights ago. Clemson's biggest concern is that they go through these 6-7 minutes of scoring drought. But I'm telling you right now, if you get a ton of second chance opportunities, this is the type of game that will get you over that hump. You get the second chance opportunities, you dish it back out to Heidebreeder and say, Jake, drop another one. Hunter, drop another one. Zachary, get you one. Wiggins, get you another one. You get another opportunity over and over. You start to work out of bad shooting. And I think I'm feeling it for tomorrow night that McNeese State could be that game where Clemson actually works out of their bad shooting. And that would be a huge nightmare for anybody that they face. And that's why I think they do make it deep into this NCAA tournament. Write it down, mark it down right now, 18 minutes into this episode. I'm telling you, if they work through McNeese State and get their shooting back on track, it's going to be a nightmare for the rest of this bracket, and they go extremely deep into this tournament. I'm not going to say national championship because I don't want to jinx it, but I'm telling you, they could make it a very, very deep run, make it very, very exciting for us. All right, final segment of the show, we're going to talk about why Purdue is also very vulnerable and Clemson can take advantage of them. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can take all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can share and track spending training and personal accounts, set goals together, stay on the same page, and be out of stress. I'm telling you, you want to take advantage of that. Take control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year.
The NCAA Tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA Tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Purdue might be the number 4 seed, and they may be a little bit scary because they're from the Big Ten. But I'm telling you right now, they're vulnerable, and Clemson is ready to jump all over them, and they're absolutely beatable. Clemson is the team to do it. If they get through McNeese State, when they get through McNeese State and they get their shooting back on track, there's not a team in this country that I think can hang with them. Why would you be concerned? This team's beat a Duke team with their best player on the court. This team has beat Kentucky. This team has gone through the ACC. This team has clawed their way back from deficits and showed that they can hang, and they have fought through bad shooting and bad turnovers, and they're just absolutely gritty. They can do a little bit of everything, and they have enough stars to rotate through. The biggest question for me is that 5th spot player that we talked about, but I'm telling you, if they get this thing worked through against in the first round, the 64, this will be a run to remember. Purdue's guard play, let's be honest, they're not very consistent, and you need consistent guards. When you look at what Clemson has to bring to the table and what Purdue has with Smith, he's a very talented player. But if you pressure him, if you get a guy like Jaden Zachary on him, he's going to struggle with turnovers. Clemson's defense can disrupt Purdue's game flow by forcing tough passes and contesting outside shots. And that's what I really like about what Brad Brownell can do, because he likes to experiment here and there when things aren't working. You know, I always say he's not always as fast as possible with his changeovers, but he's very calculated with what he does with his adjustments during the game. And I think that Brad Brownell is the type of coach that, you know, he's been here before. He's been through bad seasons. He's been through hard times. He's been through the fan base not really wanting him around. And he's made his way through that. And now he has built a team using the transfer portal that can disrupt just about any team out there. And really, why would you be concerned with that? Because they've done it. They've shown it against number 1 teams, higher seeds already during the season. And I think that they'll continue to do that. To me, the star of this tournament might not be Chase Hunter, might not be Ian Shefflin. It could be Jaden Zachary completely taking over from a defensive perspective. And he might not get a ton of respect because he's not going to be on the stat sheet when it comes to shooting the lights out, but he's going to go out there and he's going to play scrappy defense and really force some bad passes. I believe it. I think that he'll be able to do that and cause a problem for Purdue. When you look at it, don't just look at the 4 versus the 5 and the underdog scenario. When you look at a matchup, Clemson can do that. Now they don't have that. You may think of Purdue as, you know, Zach Edey Purdue. Well, that's not who they have anymore. They're not the same. They don't have that same dominance in the interior as they did in the past. He's no longer on the team. Clemson actually has better bigs, in my opinion. When you look at Shefflin, Locken, and if they can somehow find a way to get Chauncey Wiggins involved in the game. This is a big thing that for Chauncey Wiggins. He cannot just disappear. If his shot is not there, he's got to decide what else is he going to bring to the table. Because when you look at a stat line like he had last time, no rebounds, no assists, no free throws, I think like 1 or 2 steals, maybe not even that. Maybe he had 2 assists and no steals. I'm trying to think off the top of my head here, but you can't have a stat line like that. No rebounds, no blocks. You're not helping defensively. You're not getting second chance opportunities. You're not providing options for your other teammates. So I think if Shefflin and Locken can get a little bit of help, now they're going to get it from Hunter and Zachary, but if they can get a little bit of help from Chauncey Wiggins, maybe even Adele Jones in the mix, They can control the paint and absolutely wear down not just McNeese State. They're going to wear down not just the Cowboys, but they're going to wear down the Boilermakers. They're going to wear down the Cougars in Houston as well. I think that this team can make it all the way to the Elite Eight or possibly even the Final Four if they can get those three positions in sync and stay out of foul trouble. They're not going to be an easy out at all, and they're going to be dominant in the interior against anybody in this bracket on this side of the bracket that they have. Physical teams have been able to take it to Purdue, and I think Clemson is add them to the list of another physical team that can take them to the limit for sure. Don't just look. Do not. I'm telling you right now, don't just look at the numbers. A lot of people go through the NCAA bracket and they just look at the higher rated seeds, ranked seeds, and you can't do that with Clemson. I think Clemson is underseeded. 3-point shooting is also something that kind of like McNeese State, Purdue lives by, but it can be streaky. And that's kind of how SMU was. And you saw how Clemson was able to handle SMU. If they lock down the defense and they stop them from shooting, as well as they have from deep, they're a team that can shoot lights out if they get hot. Now, that would be the one thing that I think I'd be concerned with when it comes to tournament ball, because when their shots fall, it really takes that momentum, takes that morale away. But when their shots don't fall, Clemson's going to be able to snag every single rebound, and they're going to struggle. Purdue is going to struggle to generate offense that they need. Clemson has proven that they can play lockdown defense. They can clamp down on the perimeter. They can stay locked in as long as they stay, stay healthy, they stay out of foul trouble, and they don't get winded. I think Clemson can go super deep in this tournament. If Clemson plays their game, they'll be in the Sweet 16, they'll be in the Elite Eight, and they'll be pushing for a Final Four. The Tigers have the defense? Check. They do. They have the size? Check. They do. They have the tournament experience in their leaders? Check. They do. Do they have the depth? And that is the big thing. They can win the rebound battle. They can force the turnovers. If they can get hot and they figure out their depth here at the end of the season. And as I said last episode, if any of the fans are watching that are family members or related or even players themselves are listening, I'm telling you right now, Clemson Nation believes that you can go deep in this tournament. You have to believe it yourself. We can't play the game for you. Our belief in you cannot go out on the court and get those buckets and cannot make those steals and get those blocks. But we believe that you can do it and you can go deep in this tournament. And I know they're feeling it. Hopefully there's a huge showing for Clemson. I know it's a big trip here in the NCAA tournament, but hopefully there's a huge fan base there. Clemson family travels for sure. I look forward to the game tomorrow night. I hope you do, as tomorrow afternoon. I hope you do as well. We'll continue to talk about it as we get amped up for the start of this NCAA tournament and this hopeful Tiger run that is one for the ages. It's now or never. This is a lot of these guys' last game of the season. Every game is their last game unless they win it. I appreciate everyone being a part of the show. Hey, thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen of today. And for your second listen, make sure you listen or go check out Locked On College Basketball with Isaac Shade and Andy Patton. March is officially here. March Madness is officially here. So be the most informed college basketball fan throughout the madness. Find Locked On College Basketball on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. That's it, everybody. Thank you so much for being a part of Locked On Clemson again. And as always, Tiger fans, I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll see you at the top of the hill.